Welcome here to the Glenville State University Athletic Department, back here in the Waco Center in the Office of Pioneer Media. We're in here today with our producer, Draven Gibson, for this edition of the Coaches Show. And our guest this morning, fresh off 3 days down in Charleston, down at the Edgewood Country Club, women's head golf coach, Mike McGerry. Coach, thanks for joining us this morning.
Jesse, thank you.
Tell you what, historic couple days down there at the University of Charleston Fall Invite. The record team score, and you had a record individual score. Can you speak to those accomplishments down there?
It's off the charts. First of all, we beat Gannon, best team in Pennsylvania. Probably beat the second best team in Ohio at Ashland. Took care of Charleston, which is always huge, and then beat Mount Olive from North Carolina. I mean, this was huge. This was not conference big, huge, but in a different arena, this was as big as it gets. Nothing to complain about.
Absolutely.
First time ever.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, I mean, you know, the goal is to win the championship and punch your ticket and get that done. But with that being said, you know, these type of performances against those type of regional teams really plants a big seed in as far as the rankings and, you know, your body of work for the NCAA.
It does. And also, you know, we're coming off this big win. We go to Ohio Dominican on Friday. We'll play a bunch of teams from Ohio, Michigan, PA, and in the region. And if we take care of business there, I think we're definitely in the right direction.
Now, Haley Hendershot was golf for the week last week. Another incredible tournament. Just, you know, about her performance down there at Edgewood.
Absolutely incredible. So, you know, you guys aren't there. There's no TV, obviously, so let me bring it to you. Day one, Haley is 4 under par on the 16th fairway, which is a par 5, 182 yards, no trouble, a couple sand traps, no big deal. And she chunks a 5-iron into the bunker. It's an easy out, and she kind of gets cute with it and makes bogey. Had she put the ball in the green there, she goes to 5. Hole 17 is you just make a par. If you get lucky, you make one. But we're looking at par, and then 18's a par 5 that she can get in too. I mean, this could have been off the charts, 5 or 6 under easily. And we all say that as golfers, but you know, when you're looking at things from a strategic standpoint, she's really tuning up her game and really starting to make a move at it, and it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and that's coming off the heels of, you know, a tremendous freshman year that she had with us. But you know, we go to you know, a couple of the veterans. You had Lizzie and Kendall Wall. And then the newcomers to the lineup was Mackenzie Zeppelin and Alexis Fickle. If you could speak to, you know, what the veterans are doing in that starting lineup right now, and then, you know, what the newcomers are giving you.
Let's start with Lizzie Bicker. So Bicker historically has been a great ball striker, struggled with command or control of her pace on the greens. That is no longer an issue. I will look you in the eye and tell you she easily could have shot 65 or 66 yesterday. She had 36 putts and shot 73. I mean, and I'm not talking 30, 40 footers. She had 10 footers, 15 footers, one after another, and the pace was there. Just missing putts. And her ball striking is something I haven't seen. It's a level of almost a professional golfer. It's getting there. Kendall Wall, I didn't spend a lot of time with her. I just more or less go out, see how she's doing, give her some lemon cookies. That's our little side kick there. And she was 2 over. We had a rain delay. I said, what do you think? She's like, I got 5 holes to go, 3 are birdie holes. Didn't make a putt. She shoots 2 over. Wall's as steady as they come. Alexis Fickle, the transfer from Findlay, shoots 78. She's struggling a little bit for her talent, but she bought a new set of clubs. First time out of the gate, she used them this week. I wouldn't advise it, but she did. And, you know, she's got the experience. She's playing well. She shoots 78. And Mackenzie Zeppel, the freshman from Canada, I mean, she out of the gate, she shoots 84 and then comes back with an 81 at Edgewood. I mean, this is a Donald Ross golf course, which is not easy. And then I'll be honest, when I look at all the scores, us, Gannon, Ashland, you know, Charleston, it's wow. I mean, I've never seen scores this low, and the kids are just all responding. It's impressive.
Yeah, we were watching, you know, what scores we saw, of course, on the men's side. We were still struggling with the spike mark. But we were thinking that the rains that came through had softened the greens, but you said no, they were still fast there.
No, they were blazing. They never slowed down once. The drainage at Edgewood on the greens is good. The fairways do get wet, but the greens are really good.
Well, so now looking ahead, you mentioned Ohio Dominican. Just what the importance of this tournament. You'll still be 2 weeks out from the championships, but there's going to be some more really strong regional teams there. What's the objective this weekend up there?
Well, the first thing is last year, and this is a horrible sense of humor, Hendershot's mom gets on a golf cart and was going down a hill on pavement and lost control of the golf cart.
Oh, my gosh.
Not to her fault, but the concrete was all covered in moss and mold and it was wet. She flips the golf cart. I've got Kendall Wall on the golf cart. This could have been catastrophic and been serious.
Gosh.
So first things first, nobody is taking a golf cart out to a tee. You walk out there. There's no golf carts. On the serious note, the biggest thing with this golf course at ODU is just get the ball in play, and you got to hit greens from 135 yards. I'm going to beat that drum until the day I die. If you hit greens from 135, I could see another performance like we just saw. Again, when I asked the kids yesterday, how did you play? Coach, I'm not even near our potential. So if the kids aren't putting well and they're putting up these numbers, can you imagine if they start making putts?
Yeah.
It could be crazy. Jesse, I told you at the beginning of the year, this is the best talent I can assemble. It is the most talented team I've ever seen at Glenville. I don't know if we could bring a better team in. I really don't.
Well, certainly, it sounds like all the pieces there, the puzzle is just finding that level of consistency and getting it all together and, in championship play. I know that's what all these tournaments are for, is finding that. But, you have the Mountain East Championships, and then you're hopeful that it'll be follow up with some NCAA play in the spring.
Yep. And also the spring schedule looks strong. We're going back to Missouri, St. Louis, and then South Carolina, Beaufort, which is now D2. And then we're heading down to Lincoln Memorial down in St. Augustine, Florida. I mean, the schedule is there. As long as we take care of business, we could really climb high in the rankings. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, before we close this segment, I also want to talk about, you play a lot of your kids, that the second unit that played down there, that you're getting some good rounds and some good some kids are stringing together some solid holes out of that group.
They are, and Rebecca Sigalski, man, this kid is just 4-year, just a total grinder. What a great young lady. Shoots 83 yesterday. Also yesterday was Deborah Hill, shot 85, coming off a 91, and we had a come to Jesus conversation yesterday morning. She was overthinking things, and how about Emily Barr breaking 100 yesterday, and also first round out of Isabella Lundy shoots 90.
Yeah.
So the kids are playing. They're cutting their teeth in the fire, if you will. So I mean, they're getting some opportunities.
Well, I'll tell you what, Coach, it's another exciting fall, with your program, and again, we'll see how things go up there at Ohio Dominican, and I know they're plugging away, getting fine-tuning everything for that championship competition there next month up at Avalon up in Ohio.
It'll be fun.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us here this morning, and our congrats to those young ladies. Very proud of them, and we'll be talking to you next week about Ohio Dominican.
Fingers crossed.
Show. And our guest this morning is head football coach Mike Kellar. Coach, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Tell you what, we want to put the wraps on your first game a couple weeks back now. Seems like an eternity ago now, but traveled up to Michigan to play at Northwood. Wasn't a terribly long trip, I know, but new staff up there. But the team went up there, took care of business, put the W on the board, and got back on the bus. What's your takeaways from that first contest?
Yeah, the team they did a good job handling the travel, which it's an experienced group, and they did it before. A year ago at Quincy was a much longer trip, but 7.5, 8 hours on a bus isn't a lot of fun. So we went up the night before on Wednesday, got up Wednesday early morning and drove straight through and had a good little walk through on their field, fed them well. It was a business trip. Guys went to bed, and we did have an early start the next day. We played at 2:00, which was a little bit of an awkward time, but got the win. And some guys got to see some family. Our starting quarterback and a couple guys are from the Michigan area, and it was a good trip for them to see some loved ones and come away with a win and travel back and then get ready for Notre Dame.
Well, I tell you, just the kind of the plot twists from the game. I know you weren't real happy with the offensive execution early, but you had a couple big defensive plays that got you going, and then the offense got into rhythm there through the second quarter.
Yeah, they're pretty good on defense. I mean, they do a lot. We had 4 of our 5 starting linemen returning, and we signed a kid who started 2 years in the league. And Peyton Hawkins at AB, and we feel good about our group. But getting everyone on the same page against an experienced defense, a very well coordinated defense. We had some Albion tape, which was where that staff was at before, and they were jumping in and out of different fronts. And second play of the game, Peyton gets rolled up on, and about the 5th play of the game, he has to come out. We have to move our right tackle to left tackle and move our right guard over to right tackle and put it in. I mean, it was musical chairs in that first quarter, and those are the things that no matter how much you plan, you can't plan for. And thank God the kids were prepared for it. So it really took us a quarter to kind of get our bearings on what we were doing offensively with who, where, and get them to feel comfortable with the speed of the defense and the multiplicity of their defense. But in the meantime, our defense carried us. We could tell, or at least I could tell, as the play caller, that they weren't going to move the ball too well on us all day. So basically, the first quarter was let's try to take care of the ball and let our defense do what it does. And they ran a little screen play, and Tank Gant, just like he did in the recruiting tape we had of him, he picks it and runs it back, and it makes us 7-0 us. And then the next series or the series after that, we run a little cross dog stunt, and Clark hits him in the backfield, and then Seth comes up and pops the ball out, and the ball comes out, and Jonathan Brown picks it up and runs it back for a touchdown. Now it's 13-0, and then adversity hits us all over again. We get the extra point blocked, and they run it back for 2. So it was 13-2. But obviously at that time we felt pretty comfortable. In the next series we got the ball on offense. We kind of settled in and did some good things and went down and scored. And really, truthfully, the game's probably over at that point with the way our defense was playing.
And everything personnel-wise is new with your key people on the special teams side of things.
Totally.
There were some kicks made. You had a field goal in it as well. And there were some solid punts that split the field. About the special teams and those new.
Well, Xander Watson, our punter, is a redshirt freshman punter. He ended up being the special teams player of the game for us. Our staff kind of looks at that and watches the tape and votes on it. And, for his first game as a college football player, I thought he did a really good job. Aaron Tate is a true freshman long snapper, probably as talented as a kid as I've been around at that position. But, true freshman, first college game on the road, that's I remember those days when I played, and it's a different ball game. And then obviously, our starting kicker is a true freshman. Our holder is a redshirt freshman. All those guys were in their first college football games, and we're a really experienced football team at a lot of positions, but those aren't it. And I was really pretty pleased with the way they played. Even our snafus in the kick game weren't related to those kids. They were more the veteran guys, messing up. But I was pleased with the way those kids played. I'm pleased with the way they've practiced. They're practicing with a lot more confidence. But we got 9 more of these games, and that group needs to continue to grow.
I'll tell you what, got the 1-0 on the board. Of course, we had the cancellation with what happened at AB, but now we come home, and if there's a blessing, to the not playing the AB game, we have 16 days. A blessing or a curse, I don't know.
Sure,
but
you have to be seen, yeah.
Yeah, down to to play a team that's been 5-time champion here in Notre Dame of the Mountain East.
Yeah, they're they're picked number 1 again this year. Obviously, the class of the league since I've been here, they've really been the most dominant program in our league. And watching them on tape this year, really a whole lot hasn't changed. Some of the names have changed, but the way they look and run around and none of that's changed. They still got a standard of play, and they got a very good football team. Obviously they beat Wesleyan last week. I think score something like 86-7. Yeah. And they just got a really good football team. I think they're really, really, really well coached. Schematically, they never put their kids in a bad position. and then fundamentally and technique-wise with everything they do, you could see the coaching, in the tape, and they're doing it with really good players. So our kids, they had a really good week of practice during the bye week, not as good as I'd hoped, but since prep week for Notre Dame has started this week, there's a little bit of different pep in their step, and you can tell that they're excited to play a game, and I am too. I mean, we're it's been, like you said, it's been 2 weeks, and we can't wait to get on the field and play in front of our home fans here at Pioneer Stadium.
Well, I tell you what, you're now in your 5th year. You had a couple 7-4 years on the board. I mean, I'm just know from my end, it looks like it feels like we're actually with this is completely your program, your team. I know you played here.
Yeah.
Just Mike Kellar is now recognized, as the Glenville coach, and every year you get that foothold. Of course, you've had some success with it.
Sure.
Just about the role with you and the veteran coaches on your staff, about just the foothold you have now and how that's transformed into this veteran roster.
Well, I think anyone, what they're looking for in their program is just the level of consistency, and when they're able to have the same coach and the same staff, over a course of time, it makes things easier. I mean, from watching tape to the way you want to recruit, you're not starting all over and training guys if this is what we're looking for in a player and this is where we find them and this is how, or even our team, they know what's expected of them. And, on Tuesday's practice, I have to announce to them, Wednesday's lifting times, whereas I don't have to do that. They know what their routines are. They know when they're supposed to, excuse me, they know what they're supposed to do and what's expected of them, what the standard of play is. And I think it shows on our, if it showed up in our recruiting, I think it's showing up on the field. Same kind of what I said about Notre Dame. You can see our coaching, on the field. You can see our kids trying to do what's asked of them, and I think we got a core group that's been around for a while. And the thing about coaches, staffs, and being in the same place, same time, now you got those core leaders that are leading in the locker room, so it permeates all through your program. I mean, the way I coached the out route 5 years ago and the way I coach it now, or the way I coached it 25 years ago and the way I coach it now is the same way. But now you got veterans who have done it, and that's a little example, but that goes all through the program.
No. I'll tell you what, next week we will have a whole lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
We encourage everyone to come out to the stadium this Saturday for the home opener. And, Notre Dame opening up, the whole beginning here, Notre Dame, State, Charleston. It's going to be a gauntlet of good teams right off the bat. But, that's part of the deal.
Yeah, our schedule, the schedule makers didn't do us any favors. I've said this multiple times. I think this is as good and as deep and as talented a team. I know it is that we've had since I've been here. But what that translates to, Notre Dame, they don't look any worse. And I watched State a week ago on the Thursday night game, and they look like they've got the best team they've had in a while. And I watched Charleston a little bit that same night, and they look like they got a great team. So week in, week out, it's going to come down to the end, and I think you're going to see a lot of evenly matched teams. It's a testament to the league and the commitment that the schools have made to athletics and where the Mountain East is at right now.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I really enjoyed having you here this morning, and we will talk again next week. And you put the wraps on what we hope will be a fun Saturday out here with Notre Dame.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Coach. Our guest in this hour will be our head volleyball coach, Kiara Perkins. Coach?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me today.
I tell you, your first coach's show. Excited. We'll start with that before we get to the matches that you've already had, and looking forward to the weekend. But just because you were an assistant coach last year up at Alfred, just some takeaways with being the head coach and being the boss and what that's been like here these last couple months for you.
It's definitely been a little bit of an adjustment and stuff. I know everybody is saying, like, oh, she's so young and stuff, but I think that gives me leeway, especially with working with these girls, having the excitement and stuff, even just getting the comments from everybody that comes to the games and has seen us play already, seeing that their energy already, like, this season has been improving from last season. Like, the girls, even in practices, they are actually enjoying it. They want to be there. They want to get better. I think especially with the amount of returners that we had this year, we have a really good chance, I think, of having a better season than previous years.
And early on, I know you had a very competitive tournament out there at Cedarville. Played some very good teams there. You came back, got to win over Salem. We had to split Friday night with Tech, and I know you were playing a couple athletes short with that one, but still it was a tremendous. Some great matches all week. I mean, it was a 5-set match with Salem, and then came back from 2 down to get the win over Tech, and then we were up 6 in the first set, and they came back and got us. Where I really think we could have settled the issue had we finished that one off. But still, they were very entertaining matches. Just if you can speak to the 7 matches that the team has played so far.
Yeah, especially with the starting tournament up in Cedarville. I know with the injuries and stuff that we have right now, I know we did get one back completely. One's still working her way back into things, but definitely like the competition that we had at Cedarville, like it's probably one of the better teams that we're going to be seeing this season. So even just then, like even being able to just take a set from 3 of those teams was really big for us, and especially with our ability to fight back. Like those girls were really not giving up until the very end, which is honestly all that I could really ask for. Definitely some things that we still need to work on, but that's the beauty of it being the beginning of the season. Still giving us the time and the leeway to really focus in on what we need to put us in a better situation.
Well, looking ahead this weekend, there'll be 4 matches over at the Wesleyan tournament. We've been going over there for a couple of years, and of course, Coach Wheeler and Coach Heffner are good friends of mine from when I worked there. They do a good job of putting that tournament on, and it's close. What are you looking for? Some of the objectives for this weekend with the tournament over at Wesleyan?
You know, with some of the teams that we're going to be playing too, they're kind of in the same situation as us right now, like looking at their records and stuff. So I think it's honestly every game that we play, we really just got to focus one game at a time and giving it our all, really. And definitely setting the tone right from the start is what I tell the girls. But having that ability to keep that lead that we had, like especially against Salem this past game or this past week, having those leads and stuff, but being able to stay ahead is one thing that we're really going to be striving for this weekend.
I'll ask you this, because talk about being a head coach for the first time, and I'll be asking Emily Starwer the same question in a couple months. But, being such a young head coach, and there's so many young head coaches in the department, just about, what that adjustment's been like. And, I know I really like the vibe of, how everyone's getting along and supporting each other. But just, what it's been like, not just being the head coach of the program, but being a college head coach in a new town in a totally different athletic department.
It's definitely been honestly, it's a blessing even just being here. Even getting close with the other coaches and stuff, like even though we do have like the various age ranges, it does help us. Like we get to work with those who are more experienced. We get to work with those who are kind of in the same boat as us. So getting the ability to be able to see both sides of it and stuff, but just having the support in general is honestly all that I can really ask for.
And I know you've already hit the ground running, for recruiting for next year and working on retention and with the young ladies that you have in the program now. So I know you're doing a tremendous job of embracing those aspects of it. So much more than just the coaching on the court, when you're the head coach.
Yeah, thank you so much.
But anyway, I was going to speak to you. You're also playing another role within the department as a mental health liaison with, with our counselors across campus, and that's your background with, about what that means to you to still be to have a foot in the door with that profession.
Definitely, I think mental health is definitely one issue and stuff, especially with the athletes nowadays. I know like the last couple of years there's been like the huge topic of athletes struggling with their mental health, committing suicide and stuff. So definitely just having that person in our department, I think, is going to be helpful, not just for the students, but for the department as a whole. Like, I know, like, my girls know that they can come talk to me whenever they can, but even just having some other players on different teams, like, coming up to me already, I really do think it's making a difference, not just in their personal lives, but I do believe that it'll help on the court as well.
I believe that too, and I tell you, we at the NCAA convention last winter was able to, see a lot of the data about how much more prevalent the mental health issues are, especially since COVID, and so we really value what you're doing here in our department on that end.
Thank you.
But anyway, the Wesleyan tournament this weekend, we will be getting together again next week to talk about that tournament, and then starting to set the table as you go into league play. So, Coach, we really appreciate you joining us here this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the Waco Center here in the Glenville State University Athletic Department for another edition of the Coaches Show as we continue on here. And our coach with us here in this session is head soccer coach J.R. Dodson. Coach, thanks for joining us here this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Coach, we're going to look back here, because we've got 3 matches on the board, and we knew you had a lot of strong players you brought in this year, and been 3 real exciting matches already. The 3-0 win over Bluefield, the came off the mat from 2 down to tie Lake Erie on the road 2-2, and then outshot State, won the possession battle down at State, outshot them 16-10, came up just a little short 2-1, a very exciting match down at Institute. Currently sitting 1-1-1. Just some takeaways on those matches in the beginning of your 23 season.
Well, I think the first thing is the team. I think you're correct. We brought in a lot of good players. The team is bought into what we're trying to accomplish, and they're playing hard. And they're playing for each other, and I think that's kind of some of the things we were missing last year. That playing for each other, wanting to win, and it's fun to see players disappointed at the tie up at Lake Erie, because it was a game that they kind of thought they got away from us, but they fought hard, come back, and so we have that fighting mentality, which I don't think we've had before.
Yeah, and with down at State, getting down 1-0 at halftime, coming back and got that long goal from McKenzie, but then when they went back down, you really hammered them the rest of the way. You couldn't put one home, but you had the pressure on them that entire last 20 minutes. Just the way the team is responding to adversity.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's that championship kind of mentality, and I think our team has that. And even when we went, even when we went down 1-0, I told the assistant coaches, I think we're going to win this game because of the way they were playing. I thought we did everything that we wanted to do. Like you said, Coach, we beat them everywhere except for the scoreboard, and now we need to figure out how to get that done. And bless Merrill Smets, we all know she's a great scorer. She's 8 yards in front of the goal, and it sails over, and 9 out of 10 times she drives that home.
Yeah, and so you got these 3 strong competitive matches on the board. We're diving deeper into league play this week on the heels of that State match. You're traveling to D&E, where you were once an assistant coach, and then UC, one of the powers in the league, coming here on Sunday. Just looking ahead to those 2 matches the rest of this week.
Well, at D&E, I think we're ready for. The girls are chomping at the bit. They want to get back on the field. They want to play. They have something they want to prove, and I'm excited about that. And looking ahead to Charleston. I'm excited for that match. I think we can play with any team in the league now. And Charleston has a fantastic team, and they're at the top of the conference right now for a reason. But I think we can play with them. Charleston's a lot like us, where they have a lot of good players. No real big standouts that I see, but a lot of real quality players. And I think we're going to match up well with them. I think backing up to the D&E, I think we're both playing the same formation. I think we're going to be a little bit more athletic in the middle, and we just got to take care of business.
And you talk about being more athletic in the middle, and defensively, there's been a whole lot more activity back there with in the matches early on. Teams have absolutely had to earn their way to get the ball into position to score. And I think a couple goals we gotten were just kind of mishaps.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just tremendous, the athleticism and the coverage in the middle and the back, and you've got some scores up front.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned the defense. I think last year when we went down at this time of year and played state, I think they had 20 or 22 shots on us, and this year they had what was it?
10.
So I mean that's a big improvement, and that was one of our goals going in. We want to limit shots. We want to stay at that 10 to 11 number, and I think if we do that, we'll be in many of these games at the end.
Now going to D&E, I know they've had a rough start, but they're all college soccer players, But going back to where you coached, I know you experienced that here the last couple of years. Just and I've been there too. What that experience is like.
Well, it's a little bit different because they've had a lot of turnover there. The coach is different. The men's coach is different. The AD had changed since I left. There's a couple players that are still there that I coach, and I'm looking forward to seeing them again. Alexa plays up top for them, is an outstanding all-conference player, and so it'll be fun to see seeing those girls again. And but we're going there to try to make a statement.
Awesome! I'll tell you what, and you with league play going into it now, we talked about what. Coach Nico Hernandez brought to the staff last year, and now you've added Nat Wilkes, who you're familiar with, and he's doing a tremendous job. Certainly a worker. If you can speak to what he has brought to your staff,
he has brought so much positivity. Coach Nat doesn't anything that comes out of his mouth is positive. The girls have really responded to him. He's kept me organized. He's a very organized coach. Man, he's texted me in the morning. Don't forget about your headshot. So I appreciate that. He's nothing's too small, nothing's too big for Coach Knapp.
Yeah, talk about what goes the way the team has worked together, because this is because in soccer you may have a team that's primarily local kids or primarily all international. You got a really good mix of some good in-state talent, some good out-of-state talent, and some international kids. Now, it's a really a lot of players from very diverse and different backgrounds in here working together. Just the way that is meshed to where we saw what we saw in state, how well they're working together.
It's pretty special because it is a pretty diverse group, and I'm proud of the West Virginia talent that we have, and they're showing up big time. Graylin doing well, and she's doing well across country, and Mackenzie, and then we've brought in 5 Spaniards and a Colombian. One's from AB, played at AB, and I think Sophia coming from AB has been a fantastic bridge for us between the Spanish-speaking and the English-speaking players, and she's kind of been a big part of us being able to mesh together. We did that team bonding trip, and everybody had fun, and they're just having fun. And when you're having fun, the playing becomes much easier.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Coach, we're really excited for these matches coming up this week. Again, you can, with Draven and Jagger, with the connections they have, where you can get the link to follow the away games on Mountain East Television and the home ones as well. And we did the audio. I think I enjoy doing that.
Oh, it's awesome.
And, yeah, I really enjoy it, and hope that's, good service for especially the folks that live far away. I think it's a connection there for their families to get.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. We got a lot of comments on the last home game with you commentating. It's I think it's big. It's big. It's those little things that add up that help develop and grow programs.
Yeah, it's a good presentation. We're really blessed to have Draven and Jagger here and the work they do with the video and the live stats. And so we, and again, we'll be back here Sunday doing our production, hosting that big game with Charleston. But before then, tomorrow night, trip to D&E. Good luck over there, Coach. Really appreciate having you here today.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Our guest on this segment is Coach Bill Lilly with the men's golf team. Brother John could not be with us this morning, and Coach Bill has spent the last 3 days down at Berry Hills, down in Kanawha County, where the Charleston Fall Invitational was played. The women played up at Edgewood. The men played over at Berry Hills. So Bill, thank you for joining us here this morning.
Glad to be here, Coach Skiles.
I'll tell you what, tremendous start for the men's team, coming off that runner-up finish last year and in the league, and made a strong run regionally, but came up with a big win last week with 13 teams, was runner-up yesterday out of 14 teams, came up just short of Charleston, but just like last week, made up ground after 36 holes in the first 2 rounds, came back and jumped some teams in the final 18 and jumped everybody but Charleston yesterday. Just if you can speak to these first 2 rounds by the men.
It's been a good start. It's been a lot of fun. And it's not been the same people that have jumped in there and helped us each time. Shaden Johnson and Boomin Choi both made the all-tournament team down at Glade Springs the first week with great performances. Not just good ones. Those were great ones with a lot of pressure on them. Then we come back this week, and you got a whole team that's in that even par neighborhood. But the guy that really jumped up on top of the board this time was freshman from down South America, Benjamin Fernandez. Goes even the first day and then goes post to 65 on the second 18, actually, on day 1. And comes back with a 68 yesterday. That's pretty strong golf for a guy who never saw that course before.
Yeah. So him and Lorenzo, I know, have made an immediate impact in
Two
here.
freshmen have jumped actually into that rotation, the first 5 rotation. And when you look at it and the strength of the program and where it is now as opposed to where it was at one time, we've got 2 guys who have received all-conference mention who are playing in the individual segment of the tournaments, even with Maddie Nunez and Fabre Meza, who aren't even in the top 5 rotation. Now, those guys are still playing in the individual segment of the championship. But we're having fun with it.
We got some big tournaments coming up. We're still 3 weeks away from the championships, which the Mountain East is one of the conferences that does it in the fall, which is a double-edged sword that, you can punch your ticket and then focus on your body of work if you win that. But the flip side of that, the guys really have to come in here ready and coming off good summer play because you only get 5 weeks to fine-tune it. What are the objectives here for the next tournament?
Get to Canaan Valley safely this weekend, and then let's see what happens after that. Hey, those guys love to go to Canaan, though. Canaan's
Wide open course, yeah.
There you go. It's links golf, and we got all the international guys now, so that's kind of a better setting for them. And we've got guys who step up on the tee and can hit it a mile, probably better than most in the league, although with technology the way it is, everyone hits it a mile anymore. It's not like, Jesse, when you and I were younger and we took our wooden shafted clubs and our golf ball stuffed with feathers and went out there and tried to get it past the women's tee. These guys go out there and hit that thing a long ways, but they can go to Canaan where it's wide open and they don't get penalized even. So they all look forward to going up there. I'm kind of looking forward to see what happens and how they respond to it. But it's a neat setup, and it's a little bit different than what we've been playing out of Berry Hills and Glade with the types of course, the old conventional tree line courses that change elevations and do those things.
Yeah, it's a good trip up there. I know the folks at D&E do a good job putting that on, and it's pretty ideal, I think, for the using all the clubs you need, to get some shots in 2 weeks prior to the championships.
It will be, yeah. Those going back to, you were speaking of the MEC Conference Championship now, and that is, again, a whole different setup, too, as well. We're playing courses now 7,000 yards long or so for the most part, but they're going to back us up to about 7,300 or 7,400 yards at Avalon.
Yeah.
Again, another narrow, tight course that it's a whole different setup. We don't play that style course all the time either. So it's kind of fun to watch these guys adjust their game and how they play. But you also see them playing under a little bit of heat. And we've had 2 big tournaments so far, full field events with all the best teams in the region in it, and have come out of that thing pretty good. And you're doing it with 2 newcomers who haven't seen the courses even before. So I feel good about it. But again, hell, let's go play Canaan first, and then we'll worry about the other one after that.
Well, I'll tell you, what I want to touch on here before we close is because I know there was we've been through a roller coaster with keeping the band together and all that back in the day, but here 7 years of where getting to coach with your brother John, and what that's meant to the two of you here at the end of your career to be able to have this experience together and now being able to have this kind of success.
See, when you say the end of the career, John's the old guy. I'm not that daggone old.
Right,
Hell,
that's right.
I'm 19 right now. So you trying to tell me something here? I've been told this a lot of times before, man.
And you were good. I think we're both at the end of this thing together.
Yeah, I think you're right too. But no, it is. You're right. It's a hell of a lot of fun to get off the van thing, and you got a chance every week as opposed to getting off the van hoping you got your golf club still in the back. And we've done them both now. And it's nothing to do with good coaching. It's all about getting good players is what it's about. And right now we're pretty well set.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Bill, it's been real exciting with what the team has done here early on. Excited for the rest of the year and really appreciate you coming by to talk to us this morning.
Well, glad to be here.
Well, we'll be talking next week and seeing how things go at D&E and putting the wrap on that. Until then, thank you for joining us.
I hope we can give you a good result.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a lot of good to talk about. Welcome back to the Waco Center here in the Athletic Department. We're going on to our next segment today of the Coaches Show, and our guest for this segment is the head coach of the men's and women's track and cross country teams, Coach Dan Meyers. Thank you for joining us today, Dan.
Coach, thanks for having us.
Coach, really fun start to the season here. Went up to Muskingum, pretty low-key meet. Had some kids run well. Had some people put up some big times. And on the women's side, obviously Natalie Barr was a big pickup for us, and she's been better than advertised.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to kind of go back on, talking about like Muskingum, the course, and kind of how we ran in general, I would say that I told the group, at least for the returners there, that was like the hardest I've seen them run in terms of effort. And kind of going into the meet that we have this week on a flat and fast course, I told them to kind of throw those times away. It was a hilly course. The hills were timed at a spot where, it was hitting us kind of in a loop fashion. And I just felt like we ran super hard and, we got out hard through the first mile and just tried to hang on. And I think that, at the end of the day that they can't be upset with the performance that they had. And, obviously Natalie kind of ran away with it. And, to be honest, like 200 meters in, it really wasn't close. And, but I like the way that she battled by herself and kind of utilized, her strength and her fortitude to kind of make her way through it. And even though it's not a time that we're shooting for, at the end of the day, it was still a 30-second PR, so we can't be upset about that. And I think moving into the course of the season where she's going to see a lot of MEC contenders, we've kind of broken down some of the girls that we believe that she can run with. And I think that she's going to surprise a lot of people, throughout the season. And I think she's going to mix it up with just about every team's top runners. And I think that's an exciting thing moving into the second meet of the year. And, just kind of going back to the Muskingum meet, obviously it was some heavier grass, rolling hills. It was a hot evening, not to kind of make up excuses or anything, but at the end of the day, that was the best effort that I've seen so far. So I'm hoping that we kind of throw those times that we had away, focus on the effort that we had there, and then go on a flatter course this weekend and kind of make sure we're not timid off the start and kind of mix it up with some people. And as I told, some upperclassmen yesterday, like Samantha Dodson or BJ Utt, like you're not going to have this many opportunities in a cross-country season where you feel like you can go out there and PR. And, not that we're kind of peaking for a meet like this, but it's a unique opportunity, especially for the women running a 5K. We're not into the 6K portion of our season yet. I think that they need to focus on putting down a fast time. And if it doesn't equivalate to that, at least we can say we put ourselves in the mix. And then later half of the year, we can kind of focus on the hill portion and kind of what our championship course looks like.
And those fast times is good for the morale and the validation of the work they're doing. What do you know about the course down at Marshall?
So we're at the YMCA Kennedy Center complex, and it was basically fast and flat. So it is what I've kind of been explained. So I think that the Marshall group kind of does a lot of workouts out there, and that was kind of one of the reasons we were originally supposed to go to Concord on this weekend, and obviously at Pipes End, that's a great course as well. But we're going to hit that towards the end of the year as kind of a tune-up before our conference meet. But we felt like this was kind of a necessary meet to kind of see some of the conference schools. And from an individual standpoint, this will be a good test for Natalie in terms of the teams we're racing against, in terms of D&E. Wesleyan with Leah Hall, she's a great runner. D&E's got like a great top pack right now on the women's side. And then, kind of going into the Fairmont portion, their top runner was freshman of the year last year. So, that's a good goal for her to kind of see who she can mix it up with. And in terms of the team, the men's side, obviously, mixing up with Fairmont's a big goal. The women mixing up with Fairmont's a big goal. And then honestly, just kind of seeing where our middle packs is on the men's and women's side, seeing, where we need to improve on kind of moving into the latter half of the season.
You mentioned B.J. Yutt and Sam Dawson, a couple of the veterans that came back off some strong summers and came back fit. If you can talk about, some of the other folks, Graylin Floyd jumping in with, helping you out coming, from the soccer team from Phil Barber. And you got Adam Davis coming back now, working him back into the mix. About, where, some of the runners are, up and down the roster.
I would say, out of all the years I've coached so far, I said this would be definitely the smoothest year that we've had so far in terms of showing up at practice, knowing the expectations, understanding the cool down, understanding the importance of it, understanding that the abs, the push-up series, the little things, doing the shakeouts in the evening after quality days. Like it's not pulling teeth. And, we've had some great groups in the past, but this is the one where it just kind of works like clockwork, which I'm really, really excited about. But Samantha Dawson was a girl our first year that I think that she would, I think that she has high expectations for herself, and but I think that she would be super proud if she could go back 2 years in time, and kind of see where she's at now. And she put in her best summer yet. She's doubling the mileage of where she was 2 summers ago, and at the same time, BJ, he just keeps knocking on the door. We keep him healthy, fingers crossed. He's somebody that, he runs with all his heart, and he puts in the work, 15, 16-mile Sunday runs, and over 60, 65 miles a week. He's approached 70 a few times. So since I've been here, he's probably run the most miles per week, or the most miles in general. And we'll maybe be feeding him some more heading into the track season. But Samantha was, she's been a great leader for the group, and she's always been super consistent, no matter what. If she's been our 2 runner, our 3 runner, our 4 runner. She's been our 1 runner in multiple races. So, obviously with bringing Natalie into the group, that, her role has kind of changed, but that leadership role, she's definitely taken advantage of that. And, adding Savannah Cunningham, which is a transfer from Concord, she's more of a focus in the middle distance to the high sprint events, but she was our 2 runner last week, and she's been putting in some good workouts, and she's really trusting the process, and she's enjoying wearing the blue, and we're excited to have her as well. And then of course Graylin, I mean, she's she's playing 90 minutes on the soccer field, and hopefully going to continue to contribute into our top 5. And she's tough, and she's been great to add to the group and that dynamic. And honestly, just I'm excited. I think we still have a few more tricks up on our sleeve on the women's side, and I've really liked how that group is gelled, and we're a very athletic bunch. And we're hoping the distance side just kind of comes together.
Yeah, and Savannah, like with Hannah Hill potentially joining us now.
Yep.
As far as how that may help her bump up to do some things in the 4 for you as well on the track, with being able to train with talent like Savannah.
Yeah, absolutely. And, with Savannah's workouts being a little bit more individualized, having a training partner and being a roommate is major. And, I think that's just going to kind of form that bond, along with Natalie. I mean, with her wheels could be potentially a 4x4 leg with some of the sprint girls that we have. And I think that bond there will go a long way. And I think that not to knock, on the guys' side at all, but like the girls' side right now is kind of shooting ahead of them, and I think that it's really motivating the guys in our workouts. And it's not just because Natalie is approaching some of those guys. It's just due to the fact that they see that team's gelling and coming together, and they know that they have to be pretty consistent if they want to be as competitive as our girls are going to be. So I'm really liking that in practice, and the super supportive nature has been there, and we just kind of have to see how the cards fall.
I'll tell you what, Coach, we're real excited for everything this year. I know you got some talented folks you brought in on the track side. It's going through the fall. We'll talk more about that on the in-between weeks. But we wish you best of luck down at Marshall this weekend, and we'll be talking about that next week here on the Coaches Show.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks for being here, Coach.